Look, no team is perfect. Whether it's a rough offense, a bad defense, or off-the-field issues, every team has at least one major problem that needs to be addressed moving forward.
He used to be able to come back real quick and just sling the ball. He can't do that anymore. He takes that pump fake, and it takes him a lot longer to get wound up to throw that ball.
With the 2021 NFL regular season winding down, all 32 teams know what their main priorities are the rest of the way. Here is every NFL team's number one cause for concern right now. Arizona Cardinals, health of Murray and Hopkins. The Cardinals are one of the NFL's few complete teams, with no glaring flaws on their roster. The defense has been excellent in just about every area, and the Cardinals boast a top-flight offense, as long as Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins are healthy. Cliff Kingsbury and company really need those two healthy for the postseason. Atlanta Falcons, Calvin Ridley's well-being. The Falcons' top receiver played 5 games before taking some time away to deal with his mental health. This is bigger than football. In a lost year for Atlanta, they can only look ahead toward the future and hope that their beloved star is in a happier and healthier mindset in 2022. Baltimore Ravens, the secondary. Since their inception in 1996, the Ravens have always fielded a top-level secondary. But losing Marcus Peters before the season started was a massive blow to begin with, and Marlon Humphrey's season-ending torn pectoral injury further derails the Ravens' championship hopes. I mean, seriously, how can this team expect to go on a deep playoff run if they can't stop the pass to save their lives? Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen's inconsistency. After a down year, Leslie Frazier's defense has returned to elite status. Unfortunately, Josh Allen's unexpected regression has prevented the Bills from looking like the 2020 squad that won 13 games and fell 1 game short of a Super Bowl appearance. Allen can look like an MVP candidate one week, then like the turnover-prone guy we saw in 2018 the next. The Bills simply cannot afford this Jekyll and Hyde style from Allen if they want to compete in the highly competitive AFC. Carolina Panthers, terrible quarterback situation. So, Sam Darnold wasn't the guy, and bringing back a well-rested Cam Newton hasn't been the answer either. Why can't Matt Rule just find a QB who can make the most of this stellar supporting cast? Chicago Bears, the offensive line. We know how talented Justin Fields is. What we don't know is how many more hits he can withstand before his body begins to break down. The Bears' O-line has been atrocious in 2021, and it's why Fields' growth as a rookie never progressed as hoped. The number one fear for any team with a young quarterback should be a lack of pass protection. Cincinnati Bengals, lack of experience. The Bengals boast championship-level offensive and defensive units. That's the good news. But you don't really see young, up-and-coming teams go on deep playoff runs very often. Building that big game experience is vital. And as the season progresses, who knows if the pressure will begin to overwhelm Zach Taylor's young group. We love what the Bengals have done in 2021, but if they play a more battle-tested team in the postseason, are you really going to trust Cincy to get it done? Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield. Credit Mayfield for trying to fight through injuries, but this isn't the same guy who ended the Browns' 18-year playoff drought a season ago. The Browns have struggled to live up to the sky-high expectations this season, and it starts with an underachieving offense steered by the polarizing Mayfield. Everyone's suddenly wondering whether he's really the guy to lead this Browns team into the future. It's put up or shut up time for Baker. Dallas Cowboys, the Aaron Rodgers roadblock. The Dallas offense is the best it's ever been under Dak Prescott, and the defense is suddenly relevant again thanks to the work of first-year DC Dan Quinn and breakout seasons of Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs. But if you're a Cowboys fan, your biggest concern heading into the postseason should be none other than Mr. Rodgers.
Hello, neighbor.
He only owns America's team after all, and there's a good chance Dallas will have to conquer A-Rod at some point if they want to get to the Super Bowl. Denver Broncos, QB play. Once again, Denver's mediocre quarterback play is holding them back.
You're both just awful.
Teddy Bridgewater has been an upgrade over any QB Denver has used in the post-Peyton Manning era, but his limitations as a downfield passer are preventing this offense from reaching its full potential. Detroit Lions, where do we start? The Lions have holes all over the roster, minus the offensive line. But even a decent O-line doesn't amount to much when your quarterback is meh, you have no receivers, your defense is one of the worst units in the league, and your front office can't do anything right. Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers' future. Everyone knows that Rodgers' tenure with the Cheeseheads is in major jeopardy, as it took a lot of work from the front office to have him return in 2021. Does Rodgers' uncertain future with the Pack lead to locker room problems? Will it cause unnecessary distractions and cause the team to unravel during another Super Bowl quest? And, most importantly, what happens if he does leave after this season? Houston Texans, maximizing Deshaun Watson's value. The Texans cannot screw this up. Their only clear path to returning to relevance is simple. Don't blow the Deshaun Watson trade. Everyone knows he will not be with the franchise in 2022. Lots of teams will be willing to give up a boatload of valuable assets for his services. If Houston botches this trade, they'll set themselves back another 10 years. Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Taylor's workload. The second year back is having an MVP caliber season and single-handedly keeping Indianapolis in the playoff race. But you can't help but to get a little bit worried about Taylor's increasing workload. We've seen too many instances of star running backs wearing down as the season progresses, and the Colts simply can't expect to go very far if Taylor isn't at full strength down the stretch.
Jacksonville Jaguars finding a coach. The Jags have screwed this up many times before, most recently with the hiring of Urban Meyer. Now with Meyer officially out the door, Shahid Khan and company will get another crack at finding a competent head coach to lead this team into the future. Will they finally get it right? Or will they mess this one up again and set themselves back another 5 years?
Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. This is the best defense Mahomes has ever had, and the rebuilt KC offensive line has done its job. But Mahomes just hasn't been on this year. He's committing the silly turnovers you're not used to seeing, and he's missing a lot of throws that make you shake your head. What's going on here? Have defensive coordinators caught on to him? Las Vegas Raiders, off the field issues. The Raiders were off to a promising start before all the sad off the field stuff took place. First was John Gruden's email scandal that forced the disgraced head coach to resign. Then came Henry Ruggs' involvement in a fatal car crash that killed 23-year-old Tina Tinter and her dog, which led to Ruggs getting released and charged. Then there was Damon Arnett's release after he made death threats with a weapon. These tragedies have derailed the morale in Vegas, ending a once promising season. And you can only wonder if there's a real way to repair the Raiders culture in 2022 and beyond. Los Angeles Chargers, run defense. The Chargers offense is clicking, and the secondary has regained its stout form under first-year head coach Brandon Staley. There's one giant cause for concern: it's the leaky rush defense. Things could get ugly. Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford's health. When Stafford is on, the Rams are an offensive juggernaut and prime Super Bowl contender. But Stafford has experienced back, elbow, ankle, and throwing arm injuries throughout the 2021 season, and his limitations were on display during the team's 3-game losing streak in November. LA needs a healthy Stafford to succeed, plain and simple. Miami Dolphins, the rushing attack. Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, and a revived Miami defense have led to a remarkable second-half turnaround. That much is exciting, but Miami needs a balanced attack if they're to sustain their hot finish, and the rushing game has been non-existent for most of the year. Myles Gaskin simply isn't the answer. Asking your young QB and defense to close out tight games without a reliable ground attack is a dangerous game to play. In other words, Miami's current winning formula isn't exactly a sustainable one. Minnesota Vikings, the defense. Kirk Cousins has enjoyed a career year. Greg Joseph has provided some stability at kicker, and the Vikings have remained competitive all year long. But the defense, which is supposed to be a strength, has failed to come up with clutch stops time and time again. Mike Zimmer's defensive unit just seems to break more and more each year. There were high hopes for this group following significant changes in the offseason, but this unit has once again prevented many from vying for a top seed in the NFC. New England Patriots, passing attack. Mac Jones has been excellent in his rookie year, but make no mistake, the Patriots are winning the old school way, in the trenches, on defense, and with a powerful rushing game. Here's the concern though. The Pats' passing game is good, but not exactly lethal. If defenses manage to take away New England's ground attack in a tight game, can Jones and the aerial attack come through? New Orleans Saints, the quarterback room. Jameis Winston's season-ending ACL tear ruined the Saints' once promising campaign. Trevor Siemian isn't the guy, and Taysom Hill will always be more of a gadget player. Even before his injury, Winston was more of a game manager anyway. Does Sean Payton really think he's the long-term answer in NOLA? I doubt it. New York Giants, the front office. Drafting Saquon Barkley over Eli Manning's successor, hiring Joe Judge, drafting Daniel Jones 6th overall in 2019, throwing money at Nate Solder and Kenny Golladay, and on it goes. GM Dave Gettleman clearly isn't the guy to build a franchise. Why ownership has given him this much time is beyond us. If you're a Giants fan, you can only hope that changes are finally made this offseason. New York Jets, the defense. The Jets added several new faces to their defense and hired renewed defensive genius Robert Saleh as head coach. So, how is this group worse than any unit Todd Bowles, Rex Ryan, or Adam Gase fielded? Zach Wilson was expected to endure growing pains, but the defense was supposed to keep this team a little more competitive in 2021. How did it get to this? Philadelphia Eagles, the pass rush. Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith have carried the Eagles into the playoff hunt. Darius Slay's resurgent year has turned the Philly secondary into a stingy group too. But the pass rush, which usually is a strength of this team, has been relatively quiet for large stretches this year. Could you imagine how much better this team would be if Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox were wreaking havoc in the trenches? If Philly wants to maintain their strong second half, their pass rushers are going to have to get home more often. Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger's arm. The two-time Super Bowl champion has tried to duke it out for one last run, but the arm strength just isn't there. Roethlisberger's body has endured way too many injuries, and the fact he came back from that brutal elbow injury suffered in 2019 is simply remarkable. The sad part for Pittsburgh is, as long as Big Ben's on their roster, they're stuck with starting him. And as long as that's the case, this offense is going nowhere. The San Francisco 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo's play is so frustratingly up and down. Too many times he's had a chance to play the hero and failed. See Super Bowl 54, for example. The 49ers rushing game and defense are keeping them in games, but given Jimmy G's hot and cold play, can you really trust this team to go far in January? The Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson's future. Wilson apparently sought a trade in the offseason. Now that the Seahawks are terrible for the first time under his watch, the odds of Russ getting dealt have only been increased. If you're a Seattle fan, of course, you probably hope they find a way to play nice and keep the marriage going for at least another year. Because, let's be real, trading Wilson means Seattle is committed to sucking for the next 3 to 5 years. Do Seahawks supporters really want that? Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the secondary. The Buccaneers' pass defense has been the team's lone weak link in 2021. Injuries to Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy-Bunting haven't helped, but even when they're on the field, it's not like this Tampa secondary is a top-notch unit. Tampa survived Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes in the postseason a year ago. Asking your front seven to make up for the blemishes in the secondary for a second straight postseason is quite risky if you ask us. Tennessee Titans, health. The Titans were the team to beat in the AFC when Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and Julio Jones were healthy. They are simply not a great team without those three on the field, as we have seen. Washington football team, pass defense. The improbable Taylor Heineke story has kept Washington afloat in the playoff race. But surprisingly, it's the pass defense that has mostly held Washington back this year. Is there time for this secondary to regain its 2020 form and lead the football team back to the playoffs? The roster is clicking in most other areas. Washington just needs its secondary to somehow bounce back in these final weeks. But what do you think is your favorite NFL team's biggest cause for concern right now? Join us in the comments section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.